Hi, this is Billy from Ever Expanding Life. Today we will be changing an automatic transmission filter and gasket. If you find this video helpful, please drop a like below, share and subscribe. And don't forget to check out our other content on YouTube and on our website, everexpandinglife.com. There are a few things you'll need for this job. It's helpful if you have a book to go along with your vehicle because you can look up the exact specifications of the items that you need. But if you go to an automotive store, more than likely they can look up your vehicle as long as you know the year, make, model number, and engine size. You're going to need a replacement transmission filter, and they will come with the gaskets that you need. You're going to need some replacement transmission fluid. You need to make sure you get the right fluid for your vehicle. You'll probably need 4 or 5 quarts, depending on your vehicle. You'll need a pan to catch the old transmission fluid in, a funnel to put in the new fluid. You'll need the right size socket to take your pan off. You'll need a torque wrench to tighten the bolts correctly, and you'll need a rag. You'll find the transmission pan right here on the bottom of the transmission. You can distinguish it from your oil pan for one reason, because there's no plug on the bottom. In order to drain this pan, you actually have to crack it and start taking it off. The recommendation is to change your transmission filter and gasket every 30,000 miles or every 24 months. Now ours has been over 24 months, but our big reason for doing this change is because this gasket is leaking. You can see that the bottom of this transmission pan is covered in transmission fluid, and we had a bit of a puddle underneath from where it had been leaking. So our main purpose for doing this is changing the gasket so we don't have a leak. However, anytime you change the gasket, it's a good time to change the filter. So in order to start this process, we're going to need to drain the fluid. So what we're going to do is first we're going to crack all of these bolts loose. Then I'm going to loosen the front bolts about 4 turns. I'm not going to take them out. I want them to hold on. Then I'm going to start taking out the other bolts, and as I do that, the pan will start to tilt and I'll be able to start draining the fluid. Okay. All right, put your pan to catch the fluid underneath. Now we're going to loosen these front ones a bit. Okay. So they're loose a little bit, but not out, so they can still hold the pan. Right, now we're going to take the rest of these completely out. Now we've taken all the bolts except for the front bolts out, and most of the transmission fluid has already drained out. So now it's time to remove the front bolts and drop our pan. We still got some drippage, so I'm going to lay a rag underneath to catch some of this as it continues to drip. Alright, now we can drop our pan. We have all the bolts. Oh, we got one more bolt. One right there. Let's get that bolt out. This pan is still going to be full of transmission fluid, so be careful as you take it down. Alright, pan down, and here's the filter that we need to change. That's on with a star bit driver. So we've got a star bit that fits our bolts here. I'm going to crack them all loose first. Try not to drop your bolts in the pan below. Right. Okay. You see there's a hole right here in the filter that was lining up with the hole right here. Okay. I'm going to drop that filter in the pan. Set the screws somewhere safe. Okay, so here's our old filter. Here's our replacement filter. Here's the old gasket. hard right now. Pour out the rest of the fluid. Making sure it's smooth and that none of the gasket is attached. The new filter came with 2 different gaskets. Let's see which one fits. There it is. So we've got our new gasket for our pan. Our new filter. And we're going to climb back underneath and reinstall. So the filter they gave me at the auto place is a little bit different than the original filter I had in here. It seems a little more heavy duty in its casing. It's only cased in metal. However, it only has 2 bolt holes. But what it does have is an indentation here that would allow for the head of the 3rd one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reinstall the 1 bolt here that I won't be using, so that we have that in case we ever need it for a different filter. I'm going to make sure that the hole lines up with that hole that's in there. Started. I'll put the other one in. I'm just going to snug them, not too tight. All right, there's our dipstick right there coming into our pan. make sure it's clean, where your gasket's going to go back up. Now I'm going to get 2 bolts and I'm going to stick them up through the pan, through the gasket. Some gaskets have a couple holes that are smaller than the rest, but these, it seems like all of them are small enough to hold the bolt in. So we stick a couple bolts in. It'd be good to get started. I think I'm going to go ahead and stick some more in. The rubber gasket's holding them in place so they don't fall out. Plus it helps to make sure that your gasket is in the right spot. And I've got the bolts in the gasket. We're going to turn the pan till it's oriented the right way. You'll see that one side here has an angle. So we're matching it that way. I'm going to line this up gently. So we're going to start by getting our bolts to catch. Now I'm just going to tighten them all loosely. I'm not going to tighten them down yet, but I'm going to put them so that they're ready to be tightened down, and then we're going to torque them. Alright, once you got the bolts in loosely, you're going to want to torque them down according to the specifications for your vehicle. For ours, we need to tighten them to 96 inch-pounds. I'll make a separate video that explains how to set your torque wrench for those of you who need some assistance. We're going to tighten them in a bit of a crisscross pattern. You'll hear that little click when you're at the right torque. See? So you know when to stop. Now it's time to re-add the fluid. Check your manual if you have one to see exactly how much that you need to add. If you're not sure, you can start low and then add until you get to where you need to be. My manual calls for 4 quarts. Just to be safe, I picked up 5, and I'm going to start by adding 3. Then I'm going to start the vehicle, let it warm up, because you get your accurate reading when your engine's warm, and then we'll fine-tune the level. So first thing we're going to do is pull the transmission fluid dipstick. Set it somewhere where it's going to stay clean. Now we're going to add the fluid through the dipstick tube. Put the nozzle to the top. Now we're going to reinsert our dipstick. We're going to go ahead and start it up and let the engine warm up. Then we'll check the level again. Now, making sure your vehicle is in park and your emergency brake is engaged, we're going to go ahead and start it up and let the engine warm up. After your vehicle has had a couple minutes to warm up, we're going to put our foot on the brake and we're going to run the shifter through the gears. Now you're going to leave it in either neutral or park, making sure that your emergency brake is engaged for safety's sake. Now we're going to go back out front and check our level. Continue to leave your engine running through the remainder of this process. We're going to go ahead and see if our fluid is registering on the dipstick. First, we're going to wipe the dipstick clean. Now we're going to check. Okay, I'm registering about 2 quarts low. So I'm going to go ahead and add some more fluid. Okay, we're going to go ahead and let that settle for a couple minutes and then recheck our level. Remember that if you don't need a full quart of transmission fluid, you can keep track of the amount on the side of the container. Okay, so we're going to check our level again, but first we're going to wipe the dipstick clean. Okay, so now we're reading full. Continue to add transmission fluid to your vehicle until it reads into the OK range on your dipstick. When you're finished, make sure you replace your dipstick. Also, make sure that you dispose of your old transmission fluid at an appropriate waste facility. Keep a check on your transmission fluid. Check it a couple times after you do this so you can fine-tune the level. Remember that the level is accurate when the engine is hot, so you clean the dipstick first. Also, keep check on your gasket underneath to make sure it's not leaking. You want to make sure that it was tightened enough, so keep an eye to make sure there are no drips of the transmission fluid underneath and there's no transmission fluid gathering on the bottom of the pan. So with that, you should be good to go. If this video has been helpful for you, please click like below, share and subscribe, and be sure to check out our other content on YouTube and on our website, everexpandinglife.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time, and may you be blessed with an ever-expanding life.